you took for the first probably 9 or 10 weeks of the year, every Tuesday morning and sat with that director level, so all 15 of us in a room, and taught them financials, taught them balance sheet, taught them income statement thinking, work in process, how it all works. So when you twist one knob over here, how it affects something over here. But it wasn't really showing up at the end of the month. And so in June, July of that year, I picked up the book Traction. I happen to have it on the bookshelf. So I'm an EO member, and I think I got it through that organization, but I never had read it.
Right.
And so I happened to be going out doing something, vacation or something. I took the book with me and I read through it. And it's like, my gosh, this is just, we're already doing a bunch of this, but there's a whole bunch we're not doing. And the biggest challenge that I felt that we had as a company was our culture. We'd grown to, nearly at that time, I think around 300 employees. And the problem with that is, when I'm a 30-man shop, 50-man shop even, people knew who I was, they knew what I stood for, they knew what I expected. But at 300 plus, most of them didn't know who I was. And they didn't know what I stood for, they didn't know what I expected. There's just whatever their boss told them. And there's a lot of moving parts when you're that size company and building that many homes. So that was a huge component of the EOS system that I really was looking forward to. But the other side of it, or the other part of it, is just the accountability. And again, you and I have talked a little bit about that. I chose EOS. I mean, I believe there's people that are just, it's either their program or nobody's else is worth having. I'm not that. I think from my perspective, and again, I think we even talked about this the first time I was on the show, was that pick one. I don't care if it's Traction. I don't care if it's,
game of business.
Yeah, any of them. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them out there, but if you're going to do it, do it. You got to commit to it. You got to go all in. And I think that's the real key to any of the business processes, because, most of us, let's just put it the way it is. Most of us, especially subcontractors, how do we end up there? Either we work for somebody that was a small business and they retired. Your uncle used to have a company and he retired. Or you got pissed off one day and said, I can do a better job of this than they can do it, and so I'm going to go compete with them. And somehow you manage to get by and get far enough along that you actually are competing with them. But we're not typically process-oriented people. We're just really good operators. And to really be a great company, I believe, is you got to have process. You've got to have open thinking. You got to be looking into the future. You got to be solving problems before they become problems. Yep. And when you do all that, you become very different than the competition. And I'm no better than anybody else, but somewhere along the way, we just figured out that, hey, we want to be professionals over here. And so we just acted different. And with that, I think it's all a part of, being open to new ideas, to processes, to an EOS type system. And then once we got kind of exposed to it, just really embracing it. And again, it goes back to the culture that we did when we first started with EOS. We changed up our culture and we went through the whole system and said, okay, what do we stand for? And then we publicized that, and we really, really drove it home into everyone in the company. And it wasn't just me coming out, coming in from a weekend out with some business consultant saying, hey, here's our core values. Everybody has to now operate this way. It was our team put those together. Yeah. And so they had buy-in from the get-go. So I think that's a critically important piece that a lot of people miss as well.